Well, hello, everybody. How is your day going? I hope you're having a great day. It's pretty nice here in Atlanta. I would ask that you would go ahead and do your thing, log on. You know, this is a special edition, so I'm excited about our conversation today. We're going to get started as soon as you know me and how I do. I have to try to make sure that I can share it and all that stuff. So if you would go ahead and share and invite some people in, and we're gonna have a great conversation. It's gonna be sort of like a continuation from the conversation that I had with Zoe. So I'll give everybody a few minutes to get settled and log on and invite some people, and then we will get started. Hold on one second. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, my idea is not working, so I'm going to have to go back to the old regular way. All right. So if you remember, I think we had the conversation with Zoe, and she was talking about, well, first, let me introduce my host before we get started, my co-host today. I'm so excited, so honored to have with me today, Carla Clark. And she's no stranger to us. She's no stranger to our platform, nor the people that we encounter. Carla Clark is an apostle, not apostle, is a prophetess. She is a assistant principal. She is the wife of a pastor. She has 3 children of her own. So she has experience in our conversation today. I'm super excited to have her to share her knowledge base and even her personal experiences about our conversation today. Welcome, Carla. Welcome to our Let's Talk transition.
Thank you for having me, Sonya T. I really appreciate it. I think it is a needed conversation. And of course, we don't have all the answers, but hopefully we can provide some level of support or encouragement for our parents or students or those that are in the school system.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I wanted to we want to give you some tools that you can use when you are talking with your children about, or and your young adults about what's going on in our country and in the schools right now. And basically the main thing that I want you to go with, some people are experiencing some trauma. Yeah. You know, trauma comes in many different forms. Trauma can come in forms of something traumatic happening to you, like you've been in a major car accident, you're having a medical diagnosis, you're being impacted by some type of pandemic, you're being placed in foster care, you're being homeless, the racial riots, racism, all of those things can affect you in many, many different ways. And I want you to know, just because you don't consider it trauma doesn't mean that somebody else doesn't consider it trauma. And it's important that we have the conversation with our kids right now.
And even Sonya's having to be at home, and having some students have not been back in a building since last March. So that in itself is pretty traumatic as well. Yes. Or it will cause symptoms of trauma.
Yes.
When students have not been back in school and they really can't even get out, So those are areas as well that kids are having sick loved ones right now, or even fear of getting COVID and things like that will bring on trauma in students.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we got to remember that we got to keep in mind the age of the child. We got to keep in mind the duration. I mean, we've been dealing with COVID seems like forever. But it's been 9 or 10 months that we've been dealing with COVID. We gotta think about the injury. We gotta think about the frequency. So when we're dealing with kids as it relates to trauma, we gotta keep all of those things in mind. And remember, no 2 kids are alike.
Absolutely. So true. They are not alike. Even in the same family, right? Same mom and dad, they are not alike. Neither will they respond in the same way. So Absolutely, Sonya.
So when I think about it, I think about even in my household, I grew up with a mom and dad. There were 4 kids, and all 4 kids are different. Even though we had the same mama, we had the same daddy, we did the same thing, but all of us are different. So you can expect for that somebody's going to react the same way because we're all different. We're all individuals.
Absolutely. And they never do. And things manifest differently, like you're saying, in each child. So, because it lands on kids differently, because one kid, they can let it roll off. The other kid, they become very sensitive. Another kid, it creates a sense of fear in them. So, like you're saying, every kid is very different.
They are, and even I remember when I was growing up with my sister, who's one of my sisters who's closest to my age. We were like night and day, even though we had the same parent. She was extremely smart. It didn't take her long to get anything. It took me. I had to study really hard. But we were in the same household. But she was kind of short tempered, and I was a little more passive. But we were still in the same household. It just lands on people differently, as you said.
Right, absolutely.
I want to say welcome to Janine and to Sophie and Yolanda. I want you again. We're talking this today, not this morning, but we're talking today about how to talk to our kids during this climate. And Janine says, yes, it feels like forever. You are absolutely right, Janine. It does feel like it feels forever. Yolanda says, good evening, ladies. We're glad to have you all on. Some of the reactions to trauma or to COVID, I just wanted to run those by, just bring those out just in case parents are wondering. Some of the reactions can be can't sit still. They're restless. They're hyperactive. They argue a lot. Fear of situations and places. Poor impulse control. Self-harm. Low self-esteem. Unable to trust. They may be saying that they have physical ailments and they can't find any. The doctors can't find anything that's wrong. Toiletry accidents. Some of our kids who have just learned how to go to the bathroom may regress. There may be some reenactment plays or struggling with school or with homework. What I like to tell people, it's so important that we take care of our mental health. School is going to be there. We're going to get to school. School, if you need to repeat a grade just so that you can be safe and mentally, it's okay. It is absolutely okay.
And you are right. It is okay, because you do have to put the students' mental health in, before all of that. But I do think that we also have to kind of help them cope with the change, and cope with, for those students that may be virtual and have been virtual since March, have not been in school, like Zoe was talking about, just really missing their friends and things like that. So when you talk about COVID, when you talk about the pandemic, what you laying out some things and strategies for your students. If you have a child that's virtual, like so many of the districts, getting out every day, like they need, you need to, they need to leave the house every day. It doesn't matter if it's cold. You may want to just walk them around, from the smallest to the largest to the oldest child. You need to say, listen, we're just going to get out of here and walk every day. In December, I was sick and I was at home probably like 4 weeks. And I tell you what, I was having cabin fever. I was like, if I don't get out of this house, I got out and I walked around the neighborhood. It was kind of cool, but they need to get out, even to go outside the backyard. So that's something that you need to plan I mean every day, unless the weather is just where you cannot get out. And to be honest with you, it would be good for the adult as well to get them out. So those are the kinds of things that, when you're talking about setting a schedule for your students, I mean, I just don't know how much I can tell you how important that is. The work is important. Them not sitting at the screen all day, every day, they need some time away from the screen.
And can I tell you, as an adult, just at the screen, and we have tons of Zoom calls, honey. By the end of the day, I'm just over Zooming, honey, please. So if I'm that way as an adult, can you imagine how the kid is? The kid has to be over it. I mean, as Carla said, they need to do something else, honey. Give them a break. Let them exhale. As we like to say. Sophie says, how do we tell how much information is too much to tell kids? Can you anticipate what to tell kids?
That's a good question.
I like to say you need to limit TV time. They don't need to watch a whole bunch of news. I would say 15, 30 minutes a day is enough for a kid. It's enough for me just to get the basics of what's going on, because it's coming at you so fast. And, everybody got an opinion. I encourage you to find a station that you trust, or find a news outlet that you trust, and limit that news information, even if you have to watch the news and then you go and tell your kid what's going on. Or you watch it together and then you have the conversation, but limit it. They don't need to watch 2, 3, 4 hours of news. That's just too much.
And I'm going to be honest, I don't even think that and you're thinking even high school, middle school, they don't need 7 days of it. So, I mean, because the truth is, it's just the same thing over and over and over again, unless it's like the major news events that we just had recently, maybe every other day, every 3 or 4 days. Because even as an adult, it becomes too much. It's like you were saying, I got to turn this off. So, sorry, Sonya. Keep going.
Okay, so you got to decide what's too much for your children. If 30 minutes is too much for you, of course 30 minutes is going to be too much for your child.
And then they internalize it, because as adults we internalize, right? So then we go out and with other people, and we're aggravated with people. So if they're going to watch the news, there really needs to be some conversation. Like, how did you feel about that? What did it make you feel? And then also, what do you think you could do about it? Because right now in our society, I think even we all are feeling a little bit like we have no control over our environment. And that is very tough for kids when they feel that they have no control.
Right. Now, Cheryl says, if you bring the kids to the table, make sure you are ready to teach. To have this conversation with them on a daily, if they don't want to share, they are a part of, let's talk. So Cheryl is saying, if you allow them to watch the TV, you got to be ready to have the conversation. You can't just let them watch TV and let them go on to their own devices. And I totally agree to that. What, as Carla said, what did you hear? What was your understanding of that? Let's talk about that. What are some things that we can do to make things better?
Because
go ahead.
Because really that internalizing is the place where we get in trouble, when they feel like their life is out of control. And then, like Sonya said, they begin to act out. And you're like, well, what's wrong with them? Are they acting out in school? Or are they acting out with you? Because they feel that their life they have no control. And the only way that they can feel better about it is, what can we do about this? Okay, this is happening every day. We see the racial unrest. We see what's going on in our government. But what can we do? With the voting campaign and all the information that we were inundated with voting, that's a great way to begin to talk to your kids about, hey, this is something that we could do, making sure that we vote, and look at all the things that the people were sending and calling and texting, because you know what, our world is not really out of control, but this is something where we have power, because that's what they need to feel empowered.
Absolutely. And you, as the parent, you need to let them know, I'm here for you. You need to let them know that you're going to protect them to the best of your ability. They need to know that they have a safe place in you to land. It's just so important when you are having that conversation. One of the things that Carla said earlier that I want to bring up, whenever you're flying and they're going through the if something should happen, you need to do this, there's a door in the front and the back. And they also talk about putting the mask on yourself. Before you can help your children, you got to put the mask on yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
You have to make sure that you are taking care of yourself. You are having someone that you can talk to, having a village or a group of people that you can depend on. You got to be whole so that you can help your children. Because on the airplane it says don't put the mask on your children first, and not put the mask on yourself first. So put the mask on you. Take care of yourself. Answer the questions. Get the questions answered that you need to have answered, so that you can then put the mask on your child. It's just so important that you take care of yourself, because your children are watching what you do, not necessarily what you say.
And I want to say, as far as the adults are concerned, if you begin to feel like, you're thinking, well, this is not impacting me, you need to check yourself and say, you know what, I might need to do something else, because the truth is that this has impacted everybody in the not in even in our nation, in the world, in some way. Maybe you didn't get impacted financially, but the fact that you can't really connect with your family like you should, or you can't go out, you can't meet with friends, it is impacting you. So there may need to be some reflection upon the adult to say, how is this impacting me, and then how is it impacting me, and how is it impacting my family, because it's impacting me. So those are conversations that you need to have with yourself as the adult in the home. So
absolutely. And I consider myself an introvert. I don't have to be around nobody. I don't have to talk to nobody. But can I tell you, I was ready to get up out of this house.
Yes.
I was just so over it. And if it was nothing, just walking around one of my favorite stores, I just needed to get out. So one of the things that I would encourage you to do is to change your perspective on it. Don't necessarily look at it as just the negative part. Look at, you know what, I'm in the house. What do I need to get done in the house? Can I start working on that book that that people have been telling me I need to write? Can I start cleaning the closet? Or is it an opportunity to spend more time with family? Your family that's in your house? Is it an opportunity to have a conversation with your son and your daughter? Invite them into the kitchen, and you all begin to cook and talk about things that you hadn't talked about before. You gotta figure out how to make some lemonade out of the lemons. Use your creativity. Ask your children, play some board games, have some conversations, take some walks together, integrate things that you would normally do by yourself, because you all start doing it together. It's just so important that we not just focus on the negative part that's going on, but focus on some of the other things that you haven't had time to do because you've been so busy running back and forth, being cab mom, running back and forth. But now you're at home. So how can you make good use of the time that you are at home?
Absolutely. I want to talk a little bit about, and I don't know where this is, Sonya, about maybe the grades and how your children are doing in school, because I think that is something that's really wearing on parents. And before we even go any further, I want you to say, even if you put it in the chat, I want you to put in there that I'm doing a good job, right? I want you to put that in there. I want you to write that in the chat. I am doing a good job.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter what it looked like, that
That's
you
right.
as a parent, that you are doing a good job, and most of us are probably doing the best job that we can do right now. But I just want to talk a little bit about some strategies to make sure that you give some tips maybe of keeping up with your students' grades, because because most places we still doing school, right? And so it's not necessary for your child to fall behind. It's not, but they may not do as well as they've done before. But how do you help them? And see, that's the key. How do you help them to maintain some semblance of order if you feel like your children are not doing well? So that's one thing that I wanted to talk about. And just if a schedule has not been set for them, it's February now. Maybe your child didn't do well first semester, right? You kept them home, or they stayed home and they didn't do well. Well, we're right in the second semester at the very beginning. What, as a parent, should you do? One thing that I would encourage you to do, if you are not into it on the portal, or if you have no idea how to reach the teacher, that's something that you need to do. Reach out to the teacher. Hey, my child didn't do as well. What can I do differently? How can we increase the communication? Because a lot of times I think it's just the communication.
And you got to remember that you are their advocate. You have got to be in communication with the teacher, whoever is teaching your kid. You need to know their names. You need to know how to get in touch with them. It's just so vital that you just don't take somebody else's word about your kid. You be the advocate. You ask questions. You ask to see his grades. You do those things that parents do.
Yeah, and so from the administrative side, and I know all the children are good children. They sweet, and they would never tell you a story. Good God, they would never tell a story. But can I tell you, when they start telling you, oh, she didn't give me any homework, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, I don't know how to get in the computer, I can't sign in, that you begin to email. And this is one of the biggest challenges that I see, that the parents they say to me, what he told me, that he didn't have any work. He told me that the teacher said that she couldn't get to the work right now. I mean, I see that, right? And then so I talk with the parents, and I'm like, are you on the portal? Are you able to find out for yourself what their grades are? Because I'm going to be honest, and I know you're little Johnny and little Mary, they sweet as pie, but some of the little people, they'll get over on you if they can't. I'm going to give you an example. My son was a senior last year, and he's upstairs, he's working. I'm like, he's being responsible. I was like, this is awesome. Girl, I started looking at those grades. And I was like, oh, no more. And he's a senior, right? I said, oh, no more freedom for you, buddy. You got to come downstairs. I need to see what you're doing. I start emailing his teachers. He was like, but you don't have to do that. Yes, I do. Because why? You are not I'm not getting the truth.
Right.
So I would encourage, and let me tell you, if you have to be a pain, if you got to email the teacher every day, however often, you just need to do it. You have to be your advocate. Whether you feel like your child is in the best school or maybe they're not in the best school, you still have to advocate for your student. So I began to email the teacher. Where is he? What is he not doing? What does he need to do? He did step it up after that, and my son, he's in college and he's a great student, but children will do what you let them do. So this is from the standpoint from the administrator. As a social worker, the talk is a little bit different, I think, but the children will do what you let them do. So please begin to reach out to the teacher. And if the teacher doesn't work, email the administrator. I mean, I get a lot of parent emails, and you know what I'll do? I go down and I say, well, Miss So-and-so, how can I help you? This is what the parent needs. What do I need to do to help you? And I recognize sometimes that support is not always there. It may be at your school, but please, you send 1,000 emails. If you go to the administrator, it doesn't work, call the social worker, call the principal, and do it in a nice way, but just say, hey, I'm really concerned about my student, and how can I communicate differently? So I wanted to put that little tidbit in there. I'm thinking for those educators that may be on, they may be saying thank you. So
absolutely. And this is balance. I'm the social worker, she's the administrator. Janine says, from an educator's perspective, it seems like many parents were so overwhelmed, many of them gave up.
That's true. It's true. But can I tell you, I know it's difficult, but parents, those of you that are going to come back in on replay, those of you that are watching, don't give up. Find somebody else that you can, some support for yourself. You got to find some support because it once again, it is tough for everybody. I am in many of you may not be in districts where your teachers are back. We're back in the district that I work in. I am in a building. I have been there since July with students since August. And so, and we have on masks all day, except when I'm in my office. And so it is tough. But find somebody, your sister, brother, cousin, a friend, a neighbor. Find somebody that you can call and say, hey, do you think that you could help me work with him or her? And I know you don't want to be in people's homes and things like that. But there are things like that you really need to reach out and do. Just find maybe another parent in the child's class. Maybe you could Zoom and say, hey, what's really going on? So I love Zoe. And if you didn't see Zoe the other day, she was so amazing. And she talked about, not being able to see her friends, but mom had set up a time
she corrected us. She set up her own time.
She set up her own Zoom. And they were able to talk. I mean, if there's a neighbor, maybe they just need to stay 12 feet apart. You on one side of the driveway, at least they can talk, and those kinds of things that you could set up for them, because that part is very important for them. But reach out to somebody if you feel that you are overwhelmed, but don't give up. I mean, and it's difficult, but don't give up.
And there are so many. If you are there are social workers and counselors in most of the schools. If you are feeling overwhelmed, or if you just need some emotional support, this is hard. Just dealing with this on a day-to-day basis can be overwhelming for anyone. So especially for someone that is responsible for some children. It's just, and they're coming with you, Mom, I don't know how to do this. Mom, can you explain how to do this? And the teacher's not there. This is at night. So reach out. There is some COVID hotlines that offer emotional support. And of course, I don't have those numbers up on the screen, but if you reach out to your social worker or your counselor at your child's school, they can get that information. Or you can just go in Google and type in COVID support. There are all types of numbers that will come up that can help you. So just like your kids, it's important for your kids to take a break. It's important for you to take a break too. It's just so important, because it can be overwhelming. If you lost your job, if you're wondering where you're going to stay, how are you going to eat, how are you going to provide for your kids? All of this stuff is going on, and still your students is still saying, Mom, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to handle this problem. And you have so many other problems that you're dealing with. It's vital that you get support. Just vital.
And I want to say on the other end of that also, when we talked about that the kids are overwhelmed, the parents are overwhelmed. Parents, can I tell you, and I hate to plug this, the teachers are overwhelmed. Yeah. And I know some of you are like, they need to do this and they need to do that. Why is Zoom not working? But they are overwhelmed because they've never had to teach like this before. In our district, we got kids face to face, and like Zoe was talking about, face to face, and then you got kids digital, and they are teaching them at the exact same time in some places. So, and then they're fearful. Some of them are in circumstances they fear that their life and their health is at risk. So, we're all a little bit stressed, and I think we just all have to assume goodwill from each other, and sometimes that can be difficult.
And you just got to give everybody some grace. You got to give the kids some grace, the teachers some grace. You got to give yourself some grace, because this is all new to us. I don't know anybody that has done this before. As somebody said, that we are flying the plane as we're putting it together. We are all trying to get this together. Just give grace to your kids, give grace to your teachers and to yourself. It's just vital that you do that. Hello, Ken, thank you for joining today. Thank you, Fred, for joining, and Chris, thank you all. Today, we're having the conversation with Carla Clark, who is an administrator at a middle school. We're talking about how to talk to our kids about what's going on in our world today, not only with the unrest in the United States, but also with COVID and just the fears that are just facing us today. We are just trying to come up with some ideas of some things that you can try at your home. No, we don't have all of the answers. We don't have all of the ideas, but maybe our conversation will spark something in you that can help your child at home, or that can help you at home, because we're still in it with our kids. We're still going through it with our kids.
And I wanted to say something to parents that maybe you sent your students back face to face, that don't feel guilty. Don't feel guilty about the fact that regardless of why you sent your child back to school face to face, that you did that. I just want to say that because sometimes people can make us feel guilty, or we just feel guilty because we don't know whether that was the best decision, or or even if you decided, you know what, I'm going to keep my child home digitally. You don't feel bad about the decision that you felt was best for your child.
And it's just important that that's the thing, that you make the decision that's best for your child. You can't make a decision based on what Mary is doing down the street. You just can't do that. Some kids need that emotional, that social interaction, that it's best for them to be back at school. To be totally honest, we've had some kids that have not done well home by themselves emotionally. They have to have that interaction. So their parents sent them back. And then there have been others who've just thriving. They don't want to be with you all. They just want to be by themselves. They're doing fine. So you have to take it child by child. You can't put everybody in a basket and say, everybody's going to fit this mold. And then there are those parents, you got to go to work. So your kids got to go to school. And you can't feel bad about that. You got to eat. You got to take care of your family. I don't have enough room at my house for all y'all. So you gotta do what's best for your household, and like Carla said, not feel guilty about it.
Yeah, just put the precautions in place and send your children to school. I mean, if that is the choice that you've chosen, or you just keep them home and just put things in place for them, that there is some type of social interaction outside of the TV. And I know it can be difficult, especially when you have even your older kids in high school and middle school. You need to turn the game off, the TV off, and if they don't do anything but walk around the block, you need to go sit outside in the sun. That you need to tell them to get up and go outside, because it's so hard. They just don't need to be sitting up in the house like that all day.
And it's good if you can get your kids to verbalize how they're feeling, where they are emotionally, what's going on with them. Even talk about what's going on, as we said earlier, but that will give you some insight as to where they are emotionally and what they're thinking. And one of the things that I would encourage you to do is role model the behavior that you want them to have. I mean, if you can't get out of the bed, if you can't move from the TV, do something constructive, then do you really expect them to do that? It's just, remember, our kids are looking at what we're doing more so than what we're saying. So as it was stated earlier, take some breaks. When your kids to get a break during the day, go walk outside. Go do a couple of stretches. Go. Everybody sit in. You know what? I was talking to one lady. She said that they had set up a time every day that they would do a check-in. At her son's first break, everybody would come to the table. They get something to drink, and everybody would check in. How you doing? How's it going today? What's going on today? What's going on in class? That was the way that she checked in with her kids. So that may be something that can work for you. It's just vital that you set up what works best in your household.
And Sonya talked about having the kids to kind of get their feelings out. If your students are younger, it doesn't matter if they're younger or not. If they won't talk to you, maybe they'll write it down in a journal. And you don't necessarily have to read the journal, but you can have them to journal. Or they may say, well, I don't really want to journal. Well, Have them to write, to draw in color, especially your younger kids. If
Mm-hmm.
you have very young kids, just say to them, how are you feeling today? They don't want to tell you, hey, can you just draw me a picture about
Mm-hmm.
how you are feeling? Because it, at least it gets it out. And I think the most important thing, it needs to get out. Like how
Yes.
they are feeling, it needs to get out. It does not need to be internalized as much as you can make that happen in your own family. You need to draw, color, or write, or building blocks, things
Mm-hmm.
like that. And like Sonya was saying, the role playing, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
If they role play with their toys
Mm-hmm.
by themselves, that's also a way for them to really get out what they are feeling.
So one of the things it says, Evelyn says, checking in regularly helps to avoid unforeseen surprises. Absolutely. Absolutely. Transfer the feelings from your body. Absolutely. That's just vital. And sometimes when our kids don't have the verbal capacity to say what's going on
Mm-hmm.
inside of them, sometimes they'll act that out. Sometimes it'll come out in their behavior. It's not that they are acting up. It's just that something is going on in the inside and they don't know how to verbalize it. So
Yeah.
when they don't know how to verbalize it, they begin to act it out. And so what we need to do is realize, don't take it personal. It's not about you. It's all about them and how they're trying to get out what's on the inside of them. It's really important that it's not personal. This has nothing, it's not against you, but they're trying to get out what's going on inside of them. So that's when you're going to have to be the parent to talk to them and ask them. And you got to talk in a conversation that they can understand.
Yeah.
That's just
Because one
so
thing
important.
that it doesn't matter once again what grade or how old they are, begin to talk about, especially when they're younger. Use your words. If you see that your child is frustrated, that they're upset, begin to talk to them about you. Use your words. What do you feel? And just, it doesn't matter what the word is, but if you begin to train them when they are younger, when they are older, they're much more able to express
Mm-hmm.
themselves through their words. So
Mm-hmm.
those
Mm-hmm.
small kids, if you find that they are having tantrums, they are throwing things, it just needs to become a habit in your home that you begin to say, use your words. What is it that you're feeling? What is
Mm-hmm.
it you are thinking? And then it will just create that habit that is part of the culture in your home. So that when they're
Absolutely.
16, they're not tearing up the schoolhouse or the home because you have taught them how to use their words.
Absolutely. 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 Some of the ways if you all have questions, go ahead and put those in the chat. We're over halfway. Wow, this is going fast. Didn't expect it to go this fast. Some of the things that I want to talk about when we are feeling, or your child is feeling anxious or a little overwhelmed, a couple of things that I want you to think about doing. When that happens, let's talk about a little bit about grounding, bringing them back. When you're feeling anxious, you're always dealing with something in the future. So if you could bring them back, ground them to where they are, whether that's through deep breathing, you can say inhale through your nose for 3 seconds, hold it 3 seconds, exhale 3 seconds. You can say, name 5 things that you see, name 4 things that you feel, name 3 things that you hear, name 2 things that you smell, name 1 thing that you taste, and that
Mm-hmm.
brings them back to right now where we are. Another thing that they can do that was mentioned earlier is journaling, or watch a funny video, call a trusted friend. As was mentioned earlier, take a walk. All of these things can help bring you back, or get your focus, or get your mind onto something else. It's really important when you're feeling like your kids are becoming overwhelmed, or unable to calm themselves, that you have some things in mind to help ground them. You can tell them, mom is here. Mom is not going to let anything happen to you. Mom is here to support you. Mom is here to help you. Tell me what you're feeling right now. And you can correct negative thinking. You can correct wrong thinking. Now, that's not true. Now, let's look up under your bed. There is nothing up under your bed that's going to hurt you.
Mm.
So you need to know how to bring your kids back down to reality when they're feeling anxious. It's just really important. Evelyn says we have to create cultures of healthy communication in our homes and in our communities. Absolutely, absolutely. Tara says even a 2-year-old mimics grounding. Okay, absolutely. When you are inhaling, when you are taking a break, and you hold it for 2 seconds, and then you slowly let it out for 2 seconds, a 2-year-old can do that. They're going to mark you. It's just important. Evelyn says, I missed the first part of the conversation, but any specific tips and tools to help our children through the political climate? Some could care less about school if they're connected, if they're concerned about healthcare, immigration, finances. Absolutely, absolutely. We did talk about that a little bit at the very beginning. But when we talk about our children, we're not just talking about school. We're talking about their total well-being. It's the entire child. It's not just when they come to school, that's all we deal with. No, when the kids go to school, we're dealing with whether or not they're homeless. We're dealing with whether or not they ate last night. We're dealing with whether or not they're being abused. All of that comes to school when they come. So we, as the professionals, we are dealing with all of that, and we are trying to do what is a buzzword now is social emotional learning. Behind these issues been going on long before the buzzword social emotional learning came about. Think about you being a foster care student and you being uprooted from your parents, and then you're going to somebody you don't even know, and then the next day you're supposed to go to school and know how to act.
Yeah,
that's a lot to deal with. We have to deal with all of the aspects of the child before the child can even focus on learning. If the child doesn't know where he's going to sleep tonight, he doesn't know who's going to be at the house when he gets there. He doesn't know if he's going to get that same beating he got the night before when he gets there. School is not going to just be primary on his mind.
And I think when you have students or children that are in those type of circumstances, that you really have to deal with them day by day. Like It's not really a week by week thing. It's almost dealing with them day by day, but also assuring them when they are at school that it is a safe place, and what can we do for you, providing food and providing snacks for those students that have that need. So those are the kinds of things that we do. But I did want to reference Danielle about the political climate. I know that CNN had the Sesame Street. I know they talked about Sesame Street town hall with on the pandemic. So those kinds of things are good for your kids to watch. But also, when we did talk about limiting what the kids see, but I think it's a great opportunity in the political climate for us to really to let our kids know what's going on, and to let them know what's going on in the political world in kid talk, like Sonya said, in a way that they would understand. Because Zoe, I mean, she just really blessed me when she began to talk about, that you got to talk to them because they already know. We already know something is going on. So that you begin to explain it in as simplest terms, depending on how old they are, as you can, and also use that's definitely a time to use your faith to begin to think that no matter what it looks like politically, no matter the racial unrest, that your faith in God, bringing your family and your children back to their place of faith is very important, because in these times where we didn't know what tomorrow was going to hold, when you begin to talk to your children, but we know who holds tomorrow, it builds their faith. And those of us that are of the Christian faith, that's necessary. So that when they are older, when they are teenagers, and they get into a tough spot, that they can then go back to their faith. So I would even say that place of times of prayer, because it also, when you have times of prayer with your children, it helps them to see that I can't control it, but I serve a God that does control it.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And having those family conversations, everybody joining. Now, Yolanda asks a question, how do you balance with a special needs pre-K child and a third grader? Okay, I'm gonna let you handle that question.
Well, and Yolanda, I'm sure that it can be very difficult, but I would say about that is, if there is a resource, if there are people that that would be willing to help you, and I would say even if they are willing to give you a break, because sometimes if we just get a break, if we have opportunities where we can be alone for a minute, it enables us to deal with those types of situations better. And definitely I would say talking to the third grader, as I know you have, about the needs of your pre-K child, to say these are some of their needs, this is why they're acting this way, just kind of explaining to the third grader what's going on, because if not, then they feel like the pre-K kid, that they're taking all the time from mommy, they become resentful. But making sure that you have time, try as best you can to have time for both of them, and that is, even if it's not the same amount of time, but that there's special time for both of them. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. And also you can get some ideas from your teacher. Have a conversation with the pre-K teacher. What is she doing in school? What are they doing in school? And then try to do some of that stuff at home as well. Keep those routines going. It could be really important. And you know what? Kids thrive on routines. Whether or not they're in pre-K or elementary school, they still need to have some routines. They need to still go to bed about the same time. Keep those routines going. It's just really important. The pre-K child goes in person, but this week he will be home. They both will be doing Zoom. Okay.
And I'm going to be honest, I think even if the third grader has not been on a regimented schedule for this week at least, I would try to run a schedule as tight, as close to what has happened at school as possible, to help them, to help the pre-K student. And it'll even help the third grader to kind of run that schedule, because like Sonya was saying, that they thrive on routine. And I think that those little things like that will help. The third grader may not necessarily appreciate it as much, but it just has to be, just and begin to talk to both of them, that it's not only tough for our family, it's tough for everybody.
Yeah.
So, and I would say again, make sure that you have that outdoor time. And I'm sure just finding out what your pre-K child triggers are, which you probably already know, and to kind of work to know what those triggers are to get through the week.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now we're about to wrap up. I am going to give Carla an opportunity to talk about her services on the outside, but I did find some numbers that I wanted to share. Danielle said, today I found myself watching the King celebration and struggling with my emotions. I finally said out loud, I've never seen anything like this in my life. I don't know if my response to this is right, and I'm going to have to do some self-reflection before I can continue the conversation with my family. Okay. All right. So the number for COVID emotional support, I'm going to give you this number, and if somebody would write it and type it in the text, that would be great. My kids said okay and left me to process. Okay, well, real good. Well, they already know. Mama need time. The number is 866-399-8938. Again, it's 866-399-8938. And that's the Georgia COVID-19 emotional support line. How about that?
And go ahead, Sonya.
Another number that I would give you is the Georgia Crisis and Access line. That number is 1-800-715-4225. So if you need additional support, you can call that number. And one more number that I want to share is a peer-to-peer warm line. That number is 888-945-1414. And that's a peer-to-peer warm line. so that you're not out here by yourself. There are people here to help you. And the Georgia Department of Public Health COVID hotline, that number is 844-442-2681. And that's the Georgia Department of Public Health COVID-19 hotline. So those are some numbers. Even if you are listening on the replay, those are some numbers that can help you if you are feeling like you're feeling a little overwhelmed. You can call any one of those numbers, and I'm sure that they can direct you to where you need to know. And also, don't give up. There are a lot of resource information on Google that can help you when your kids are. There's some information about breathing techniques. There's information about breathing exercises, about de-escalation tips, social emotional activities. There's just tons of information if you go online, and you can find some resources. Of course, you know that CDC has some information, and one of the resources that I want to give you is Strong, the number 4, Life. Again, the number is Strong for Life. And if it's connected to CHOR, and they have tons of resources for kids on how to talk to kids, or if your kids are experiencing anything, how to relate to them. Again, it's Strong, the number 4, Life. I'm sorry, I was interrupted by my little nephew. Strongforlife.com. If you go on CHOR's website, you'll be able to find it as well. They have tons of information. If you have no more questions, I want to talk a little bit, right, Tara, that's it, Strong for Life. I want to give Pastor Carla a little bit of time to talk about her services and her ministry, and take it away.
Thank you, Sonya. And this is true. Most often when you all see me, especially on Facebook, I'm usually I have on the hat of the pastor or the prophet. So I appreciate Sonya allowing me to have this opportunity. But I do wear the hat of the administrator Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. So and I wear it well, but I just don't necessarily use social media as an opportunity to really talk about it. But as far as Lions Roar is concerned, our first virtual our virtual School of the Prophet is going to be February 20th. If you are interested in that, what I do, I teach and train in activate men and women and believers into hearing the voice of God. I have an amazing team, and we work with people also to activate their gifts, that the gifts of the Spirit that they believe that they have. So that's kind of what I do. I don't want to say on the side, but that's what I do for the kingdom. Let's just say that. And so you can find me, of course, on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. For those of you that are on Clubhouse, I've started Mondays at 6:00 on Clubhouse, and we are talking about the gifts of the Spirit. So any of those kind of platforms, you can find me. If you have questions about your students as far as school is concerned, definitely reach out to me, DM me. If I don't know the answer, I probably know somebody that knows the answer. So where school is concerned, students are concerned, I could definitely get you to where you need to be. I can give you a little information about advocating for your students, just because I am a parent. I've been a parent. This is my last child is in college, so I can help you as far as that is concerned.
All right. And I wanted to also let you know that you can reach me at sonyatcruel.com. And I am the transition coach in my other life. We're excited to be on. This is a special edition. We are usually on every other Thursday at 7:00, and we're usually talking about some aspect of transition. I think on the 20, I don't have my calendar in front of me, but the next conversation I think is going to be money and mindset. I think we're working on that, or we will have another person from the political arena. But we will be on around the 20th. You'll see the advertisement But thank you all so much for sharing with us today. Again, reach out if you have questions, if you have concerns. We are here to help. We want to be a resource to the community because we've experienced a couple of few things. We've seen a couple of few things,
Mhm.
but it's just really important that you take care of yourself and then take care of your children. It's just vital. And you got to get those mental breaks as well as those physical breaks for both you and your children. It's just vital.
And I just want to say, if nobody else has told you this, you are doing a good job. If
Yes.
nobody else has said that to you as a parent, as a wife, a mother, a sister, but whatever it is, as an employee, as a teacher, as an educator, I want to tell you that you are doing an amazing job.
You need to pat yourself on the back, give yourself some grace, go have you a glass of Kool-Aid and just sit down somewhere and just, you can't handle everything in one day. This is new to you, just like it's new to all of us. So be patient.
I do want to say that this too will pass.
Absolutely.
It may not feel like it, but this too will pass. Now, the amount of time left that we have, we don't know. But you need to know, even if you got to write that down on your mirror somewhere, this too will pass.
That reminds me of something. Put those affirmations on your mirror as you're brushing your teeth. I can't get through this. I will get through this.
Mm-hmm.
You encourage yourself as the Bible says that David did. He encouraged himself. Sometimes you're not going to have somebody to pat you on your back. You got to pat yourself. You got to encourage yourself so that you can get through this time. And whatever you do, don't give up.
Absolutely.
Don't give up. I think we are almost at the end, but you can't give up. This pandemic, I think, is almost over. I don't think it will be as long as it has been, and it's been long. So continue to reach out to your family, reach out to those people that support you, reach out to those outlets that you have, and take really good care of yourself. Carla, would you have any last words before we close out?
No, those were my last words. That you are doing a good job. That's it. And it's gonna be okay. And this too will pass.
Amen. Now, you all, I will see you, I think, in a couple of weeks. So take good care of yourself, wear your mask, and stay 6 feet apart from people that ain't in your household. You probably need to stay 6 feet apart from them too, if they've been outside somewhere.
Sonya.
Yes, I hear you. Thank you so much, Tara. Thank you all for logging on. CC, you stay on, and I am going to log off. You all have a fantastic day. Enjoy your week. Be safe, and I will talk to you soon.